When we think about artificial intelligence, our minds usually go to lines of code, these incredibly complex algorithms, digital brains just kind of floating out there in the cloud. But behind all of that, behind the software, is something very real, very physical, and surprisingly, shiny. So let's dig in and find the actual metal behind the mind.
So the big question is, what's really powering this whole AI revolution? If you think of AI as the brain, what's the central nervous system actually made of? Well, the answer is probably not what you're thinking.
Because, it's not just software. Behind every single AI breakthrough, there's this massive, and I mean massive physical infrastructure that's getting bigger every day. We're talking about huge data centers, just crammed with thousands of super high-performance servers, all kicking out enormous amounts of heat and sucking down staggering amounts of power.
And the one irreplaceable element that makes all of that hardware possible? It's silver. Yeah, that same ancient metal that was used for coins and jewelry is now one of the most critical components inside the world's most advanced technology.
This really brings us to what you could call AI's hidden physical engine. The software gets all the headlines, right? But the hardware is often the real bottleneck. And that hardware is becoming more and more dependent on this one specific material.
So here's the crucial point to understand. Silver isn't just a good material to have in these things, it's increasingly seen as an irreplaceable one. And why is that? It's simply because its unique physical properties just can't be matched by anything else when you absolutely need the best performance.
Okay, so what is it about silver that makes it so indispensable? Well, let's get into the physics a little bit. It really all boils down to one core superpower. It is, hands down, the world's best conductor.
Let's put it head-to-head with its main rival, copper. Now, at a glance, you might look at these numbers and think, they seem pretty close. But in the super high-stakes world of AI hardware, those tiny differences are a huge deal. Silver is the gold standard for electrical conductivity, it's the best of any metal at conducting heat, and it doesn't corrode. That combination is absolutely key for getting top-tier efficiency and reliability.
Being the #1 in electrical conductor, what that really means is that electrons can just flow with the least possible resistance. It's like a perfectly smooth, 10-lane superhighway for electricity. For AI, that translates directly into faster processing and way better energy efficiency. And believe me, every single watt of power you save in one of these massive data centers adds up to millions of dollars.
Now, let's talk about the other side of that coin, heat. These AI chips, they get unbelievably hot. Silver's unmatched ability to pull that heat away and dissipate it is literally what keeps these processors from frying themselves. It's like having the ultimate cooling system built right into the components themselves.
Okay, so we've covered the why. Now let's talk about the where. Because it isn't just AI. Silver is right at the heart of pretty much every major tech trend that's shaping our modern world. The demand for silver is just being hit by this perfect storm of innovation. You've got the huge build-out of AI data centers, of course, but then you also have the rollout of 5G everywhere, the explosive growth in solar panels needed to power everything, and the global switch to electric vehicles. Every single one of those sectors needs a ton of silver.
And these numbers, they really put it all into perspective. Just in 2024, if you only look at electronics and solar panels, they chewed through a combined 650 million ounces of silver. These aren't just big numbers, they're absolutely colossal amounts of a finite resource that we're building into our infrastructure every single year. And here's a crazy way to think about the scale we're dealing with. Just one of these new giant AI data centers can use as much electricity as a small city, a whole city. You just can't manage that kind of power load with cheap parts. You need high-performance components, from the connectors to the power systems that can handle that extreme load without failing. And that means you need silver. So, what happens when this surging, relentless demand for a material slams head-on into the reality of its global supply? Well, you get a market that's under some serious pressure. This chart tells a really powerful story. If you look back at 2016, the world was producing a little more silver than it was using. We had a small surplus, no big deal. But then, jump to 2024, whoa. Demand has absolutely skyrocketed, while the supply has actually gone down. That has opened up a pretty significant deficit.
And this isn't just a fluke, not a one-time thing. The market has been in what's called a structural deficit for 5 years straight. This isn't just a temporary imbalance, it's a real persistent trend where we are consistently using more silver than we can manage to pull out of the ground.
I love this quote from Adrian Ash over at Bullion Vault. It just perfectly captures what makes silver so unique. He says,
You can think of silver as gold on crack. And it makes perfect sense, right? It has that same safe haven, precious metal appeal of gold, but its massive industrial role makes it way more volatile and tied directly to the pulse of technology and the global economy.
All of this really brings us to our final thought, as we look ahead to a future that seems like it's going to be quite literally forged in silver.
So what's the ultimate takeaway here? Well, silver isn't just a pretty metal for jewelry anymore. It's now officially recognized by the US government as a critical mineral, something vital for the economy. It's sitting right at the crossroads of the three biggest transformations of our time: electrification, decarbonization, and our digital acceleration. And if these trends continue, well, some analysts say a future supply squeeze isn't just a possibility, it's a mathematical inevitability.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. As we build the entire infrastructure for a new world powered by AI, could it be that this ancient, brilliant metal is about to become the new oil of the digital age? Thank you for watching. If you got something from this, please like the video and support the channel by clicking on the subscribe button. That really helps us. Thanks again.